Hola! Alright, so thought it was about high time I did a quick video. I'll try to be quick about this, but a quick video going over Smite Builder, which is a tool that I use quite often from Elite Ownage. And before I go any further, this guy did this on his own time. He's had it maintained and keeps it generally up to date regularly. So if you have some spare change lying around or something like that, look at the bottom. He has an Amazon wish list, and you can direct donate here via PayPal or whatever. If you would like to do so, if you find this tool useful, I would suggest doing that to thank him. In any case, I'm going to go over how to use Smite Builder and show you how generally powerful the whole tool is, but with its individual quirks, which are hard to work around. It's pretty difficult to program when you've got so many different factors going into all the different stats and everything. So in any case, I'm doing this due to a recent comment, and just thought it would be helpful to see what you have to do to tweak things. So first off, when you first boot this up, you're going to have to choose your god. And so just explaining really quickly how I do things generally. When I make a build, the god that I'm using is usually the one at the end. And I have generally 3 base gods or general builds that I use in comparing how my damage is going to do. So in this case, I did Agni, Hercules, and Athena. And if you look at these, mostly the important thing here is, and you can adjust things like level, all this here is all the base stats, okay, for the god. And you can go down further and you can set the levels for the different individual abilities, and you can even click on these things and it'll tell you a little bit about it. But in the end, you can go down and choose your loadout of different items. For Agni, normally I would build him full glass cannon, so his importance here is just to show base stats on the defensive side of things. Physical 63 at level 20. You see it changes as you level, right? So you start with lower physical protection, and as you reach level 20, it maxes out at 63 inherent physical protection. Magical, notice this, it's not changing at all. Okay, so Agni at level 1 starts with 30. At level 20, he still has 30. So unless you build protections, he is not going to have any more magical protection there. With Hercules, I've got interesting stuff going on here, but in the end, I've got him built as generally a solo laner would probably build, somewhat similar. So the physical protection here is pretty blown out, but the magical protection, noted that it's 148, which is pretty good. It's usually built off of a couple different protection items. And for Athena, she is a little more tanky, especially on the magical side of things. This is, if you look at this is sort of more of a standard support build, I guess. In any case, what we're really concentrating on here, because what we're going to look at is Anubis, we're looking at the magical protections. I added Cernunnos here just to show you what a slight Bruiser hunter would do if he built with something like Shifter Shield. Okay, note all the other items that I have in here are all just straight damage items. They don't offer any protections. So it's just, full glass cannon, mostly squishy, Bruiser, and support, full tank. Okay. So I've already built out Anubis here, and you can see my standard build here is based off of Dalen's standard build, which I maintain the guide for. And you just note it's this across, but I've substituted, if the game lasts long enough, I've actually just substituted Shoes of Focus, so that's in here. You'll note that across the board. And what I want to show in particular is how the penetration stat is really affected. And in looking at 2 specific penetration items, Obsidian Shard and Spear of the Magus, what you actually have to do in order to tweak the system and make it work so you can see proper damage. So from here, this is the general section that we're going to be looking at. This is the damage that you're giving to all the different other gods that I have set up here, right? So it actually drops all their stats down here and calculates how much damage is being done based on specific abilities. So if you note here, this is talking about Plague of Locusts, and it's telling you the total damage if you were to get every single tick, okay? On a very squishy god with Obsidian Shard, 1560, 942, 762, and somewhere in between here, right? And I guess what I'll do here is, let's do a quick notepad. I'll keep this off to the side or something. And we'll do Obsidian. And I'm just going to write down the numbers real quick. 1560, we're going to do Kerns next. 1206, 942, 762. Okay? And then we're going to go to Spear of the Magus. And I'll do that in just a sec. So you can just see generally, again, what is happening if you were to say, you know, if I were to take out something in particular, like Bancroft's Talon, you're going to see these numbers change, right? These numbers have all dropped. It's because I lost a lot of power here. So just noting that it updates live. In any case, so when you've got an item that requires stacking, and this is mostly things like Spear of the Magus or the Executioner, things like that, then you actually have to go into the individual gods and tweak things. So I'll start off here. I'm going to move Obsidian Shard. I'm going to change it out for Spear of the Magus. Okay, note that back here. And these are base stats. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to show at 0 stacks. And we're going to go 1788, 1310, 892, and 667. Okay, how does that compare? Actually, it compares pretty well, very nicely on Agni, who is extremely squishy. And then it's a little higher for a Kern with that Shifter Shield. And oh, note here on Shifter Shield with Kern that I do have it set to under 50% health because the Shifter Shield only provides the magical protection when he is sort of hurt. Okay. Anyway, so a little bit higher damage for Spear of the Magus, just base, without anything else. And then as they get more tanky, you're starting to see it drop off in comparison to Obsidian Shard. Okay. Spear and 4 stacks. Is it 4 or 5 stacks? 5 stacks. Okay. So if we're going to look at Spear and we're going to look at when it has full stacks, and Anubis is the perfect god to evaluate for a stacking item like Spear, because every single one of his damaging abilities has multiple ticks associated with it. So you're going to get max stacks, and you're going to be able to generally easily maintain those as long as you're in combat. Anyway, so go into the individual gods. You actually have to do this because it's a debuff to them. Spear of the Magus offers 15 flat penetration and between 0 and 50 protection reduction based on the stacks. So that protection reduction is actually an Agni debuff. Okay, so you actually have to go in here, and you see Spear of the Magus is right here, and you're going to have to max those stacks out right there. You'll see his debuff is noted up here. I'm going to do that for each of these gods really quick. Okay. And then we're going to go back and look at Anubis' damage. And I'm just going to minimize this for now. In any case, check these numbers out now. Okay, Spear at 5 stacks. We're looking at 1842, 1566, 1008, and 732. How does that compare to Obsidian Shard? Now we know that Obsidian Shard has 33% penetration, right? Spear, 0 stacks, offers 15 flat penetration. And Spear at 5 stacks offers 15 flat pen plus 50 protection reduction. Okay, so that's 65. This is equivalent to 65 penetration for yourself, in addition to also helping any other magical god that is dealing damage to your target. Note here, 1842. What's happening here? You've got Agni. He has 30 magical protection. You're doing the equivalent of 65, right? You're doing straight up true damage to them. So 1842. What's happening with Cern? Cern, you're at 65. There's no other penetration that I currently have in this build, and with Shifter's Shield, he's got 83. So you're very close to to true damage, but you're not quite doing true damage, okay? But notice here, you are still beating out what is a very tanky god, and then you're just barely being beat out by Obsidian Shard on an extremely tanky god, okay? What does this mean? Spear is a far superior item when you're dealing with all but the most tanky gods, at least when you're dealing with full stacks. And again, with somebody like Anubis, it's very easy to get stacks on Spear, and it's just the generally preferred item. And again, just remember that there are positives and negatives to both. Obsidian is nice because the 33% penetration is effective against objectives like towers. Towers have inherent 150 protections, and so you're eating 50 of that right there. If you got flat penetration from anything else, you're dealing even more damage to the towers and whatnot. But Obsidian is generally considered, Obsidian, Titan's Bane, those are just stronger general objective damage dealers. But against individuals, something like Spear of the Magus is quite effective. And I just wanted to make sure you understand how you need to apply the tools in Smite Builder. So that is pretty much it. If you have any other questions, you're welcome to let me know. And I'll link all this stuff in whatever posts I do. So thanks.